So this is our the Peterborough tool library. So this is a sort of side project of Endeavour because we realized we had such a huge collection of tools for our courses, but that they weren't in use most of the time.
Right.
And so we decided to run this tool library. So here people can buy a $50 membership per year, and then basically borrow any of these tools they want for a week at a time. So,
oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Good way to put it to use.
That's
Hopefully
right.
They don't break them.
Yeah.
Too much on you. Just give them back to the community too.
Yeah.
Does anybody ever borrow the big hacksaw?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
And then here's where the teaching begins.
That's right. Yeah. So this is the workshop space. So we run lots of weekend workshops where people will come and learn about a particular material or a particular type of building system. We run things on solar energy, installing solar systems, things like that. So all of that stuff happens here. Last weekend we had a Hempcrete Workshop. So that's the sample wall that the class built during that workshop.
Okay, so explain the process. How does Hempcrete become Hempcrete?
Sure.
And you put it into a wall because it's open on the other side as well.
That's right. So it's basically an insulative fill. So you frame a wall. Often it's sort of like a double stud wall or some sort of wide wall system. Mm-hmm. And then the Hempcrete is literally chips of the broken up hemp stalk, which is called hurd. And then we use a binder that's made from lime and fired clay. And so you kind of toss the two together with some water and pack it into forms on the wall. And then you remove the forms, and the Hempcrete dries out. And it becomes a really great insulation, stores an awful lot of carbon, and has a decent R value. It's really fireproof because of the lime. It's highly resistant to mold and bacteria. Insects and rodents don't like it, and it also is like completely non-toxic. So it's a.
What kind of R value are you getting into this?
The R value, it ranges depending on how you mix it a little bit. So we can do a dense mix for floor insulation, a sort of medium for wall, and a light for attic spaces. Okay. But it sort of ranges from about 2 to 3 per inch, depending on the kind of mix you're using.
And then this, it looks like it's been done in lifts.
That's right, yeah.
So
essentially,
how much you mixed up?
Nope, we'd make a fairly big batch, but yeah, you sort of put it in lifts and just you give it a really light tamping, which is kind of what puts all the pieces in contact with each other and makes them stick together.
Is it like a custom tool?
To be honest, it's really just your hands. It's just like a sort of light pressing to make sure that it's all connected.
So this is a double stud wall, looks like. So you would have this all framed up and you'd just be pouring it in the top? Or
we do it in slip forms. Okay. And the interesting thing with Hempcrete is as soon as it goes in the form, you can lift the form. You don't have to completely form the entire wall. So we basically use like 12 to 16 inch forms. And as soon as you've done that 12 or 16 inches, the same form can just slide right up.
So it dries that quick, or is it just
it just maintains its shape that quickly. It takes about 2 weeks to dry completely. So the lower section was done at an earlier workshop, so that's completely dry. And then this is almost dry. That was done last weekend, so it's had like 6 days to dry so far.
Would you have to worry about doing this out in the rain or anything like that, or if it gets wet, is it gonna just?
No, it won't. It doesn't sort of just melt away. Yeah. But in a lot of cases, we'll actually form the whole outside with this wood fiberboard sheathing, and that stays in place. So it's like that side of the building, the outside is permanently formed, and then it's also weather protection.
So let's talk about the fiberboard then, because there's R value to this as well, plus structural.
That's right, yeah. So this is an R4, so it's an 1.5 inch fiberboard.
So this to get rid of your thermal bridges.
That's right, yeah. And the Hempcrete offers basically all the shear resistance that you need for a frame wall anyway, but this adds to that. And what's really nice about it is it's vapor permeable enough that you can use it as permanent formwork, but the Hempcrete still dries out through it. Okay. In fact, we did some samples, that's what these holes are for, looking at the drying speed of it locked behind this permanently versus opening it up. And we basically couldn't find any difference. So, it's really nice to be able to use permanent formwork on one side.
So if this was an exterior wall and you needed electrical, would you frame another wall, like kind of do an electrical chase, or would you put your?
You could do a chase, or like quite often the electrical goes in. So and we're just sort of like packing around the boxes and the wires. Any wire that's in with the hempcrete has to be shielded, though, same as in concrete, because lime and concrete are sort of treated the same way in the electrical code.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, I know you got lots of other samples in here, so let's talk
Sure.
about some of the other
Okay. Well, let's go in the classroom and we can look at some things. Yeah, so this is kind of our wall of things we're currently working with and playing around with. One of the most exciting is this material. So it's from a company called Ecovative in New York State, and they call it Mico-foam, and it's literally mycelium, which is the roots of mushrooms, grown around straw, basically chopped up agricultural fiber. So it arrives looking like this. So it's chopped up straw, and this has been inoculated with the mycelium, and so we add water and a little bit of flour, and in 3 to 5 days you have what's in your hand.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's a fire-rated, high R-value insulation material.
Fire-rated too.
Yeah, completely biodegradable, non-toxic, no flame retardants, and
you would just fasten this with a big fastener to the.
You can,
wall.
yeah.
Kind of like
it would come in like foam sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like ecological styrofoam. We actually grew it directly on our wall, which was interesting way to do it too. But when they begin to sell it, it'll be in sheet form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming to market soon.
Very soon. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. This is a material that we're using a lot for sub-slab insulation and even foundation stem walls. And it's made from a recycled glass from a company called Poraver near Barrie. And we bind it with the same lime and metakaolin binder that the hempcrete uses. But because the aggregate is glass, it lasts indefinitely below grade. So it's sort of a natural recycled material, again, a sort of foam replacement that you can use below ground, which is often the hard thing with a lot of things we use are sort of like plant-based materials, which are great everywhere except in the ground. Yeah. And so this has been a good development for that.
So what kind of is this it here? Sorry.
Yeah, that's that's the very fine beads, but yeah, it comes in a bunch of different sizes.
And what kind of R value are you getting out of this?
Same in the sort of like 2 to 2.5 per inch range. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. You were pointing this out earlier, so it's just a sample of the rewall material. That's compressed juice boxes. They actually mostly sell it with the paper on both sides, and it's just like a structural sheathing, like you would plywood or OSB replacement for frame walls. But they do this naked board, they call it, version, where they expose the one side, and so you can sort of see what it's made of, and they kind of color code them, so you can, they put all the purple or the green or the silver. I think they have 5 or 6 different kind of color patterns.
So this would be used in place of
drywall, basically.
On the
inside. Well, that's what this naked board is for, but usually as a replacement for OSB on exterior walls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it looks pretty cool. Like if you had a kid's bedroom or something.
Yeah.
It'd be a cool way to do their.
That's right. Yeah.
Do their bedroom.
Yeah.
See if my son wants this for his next.
Yeah.
This looks like the hemp concrete, but in a block.
That's right. Yeah.
Block.
Yeah. This is a hempcrete block. We can pull that down. So this is from a company called Just Biofiber, and they're out in Alberta. And so rather than having to mix and pour your own hempcrete, like I was talking about it there, they're selling these precast blocks, and they work just like Legos. So these are a hemp resin core, and so each block has holes on the bottom that match, and you literally sort of stack them, and these become the load-bearing element. So with the exception of doors and windows, it also takes kind of the framing out of the picture.
Right.
So when I was mentioning earlier about, becoming less boutique, these are the kinds of things that when they scale up can make sense. You're getting your structure and your insulation out of one product that's really easy to cut, easy to use, and easy to stack. So I think...
So yeah, how would you cut, 2 questions really. How would you cut something like this?
Yeah.
And then how would you finish it on both sides?
Yeah, so it actually...
Is this heavy, by the way?
It's relatively heavy.
Yeah,
It's got some heft to it. You can cut it with a handsaw. It cuts really cleanly. Or if you... in their factory, they use a bandsaw as well. So like any typical thing that would cut wood will cut this.
It's just because it's really big. So
that's right, yeah. You need a big blade to get through. And then the finish, you can either sort of apply a lime plaster to either side, or you can strap it out. So your strapping fastens back to those little posts, and you could put whatever drywall, re-wall, or whatever kind of siding you wanted on the outside over top of that.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know what else you want to...
What else we got? What's this? This looks like a mud.
Yeah, that's an Adobe block. So this is sort of as basic as a material can be. That's literally just mud and straw, which is how, a good 50% of the world still live in buildings made this way. In some ways, people think that this doesn't really have any application in sort of modern North America, but there's a lot of work being done with earthen-based building materials because they have such great load-bearing capacity. The materials are so easily and widely available, and can act structurally and has a lot of thermal mass. So there's that Adobe version. Buried a little deeper is a compressed earth block, which is, I don't think I'll lift it out because it is quite heavy, but it's literally just rammed earth in block form.
Okay.
Even more compressive strength and more durable than the Adobes.
And then you start the straw bale home.
That's right. This is a very miniature little bale, just as a demonstration. But yeah, we do a lot of work with straw in different forms, whether it's in bale form. We just started working with a company in Holland that's literally just shredding the straw and treating it like blown-in cellulose. So, again, the ways that material could morph to become something that anybody could install and access using machinery and techniques that already exist in the field.
And we have a lot of that around here.
We got a lot of that around here.
And this looks like the same as that big sample.
That's right, yeah.
Below.
Yeah, so that's, it's cork, which as either insulated exterior sheathing, or this company now also makes a cladding version, so you're sort of getting your insulation and your final finish out of the same material.
I'm a big fan of cork floors.
Yeah.
Can't you just sit on a wall?
Right.
Okay, great.
Hi, this is Brian from The Conscious Builder. You are watching part 3 of our 4-part series with Chris Magwood at the Endeavour Centre. If you want any information about some of the building products that Chris showcased in this video, or any information about their school program, you can check the video description below for a link to Chris's website. And next week we'll be showing part 4, our last episode of this series, where we get a tour of their off-site build, which they are just starting. It's a renovation, and we had the opportunity to interview a couple of their students as well. So hopefully you'll check that out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.